In a stunning turn of events, a routine late-night television segment transformed into a seismic cultural moment that left America reeling. What began as a standard comedy roast, with flashing studio lights and a packed audience, became a political and emotional bombshell that reshaped the landscape of media trust. The central figures, Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, and Jimmy Kimmel, the polished host of a beloved late-night show. No one in the audience, the crew, or the millions watching at home could have predicted the unraveling that was about to unfold. The stage was set for what was billed as a light-hearted exchange. Kimmel, known for his sharp wit and liberal leanings, had invited Trump for a segment meant to capitalize on their public rivalry. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, expecting the usual fare: Kimmel's biting jokes, Trump's brash retorts, and a few viral moments to fuel the next day's headlines. The cameras rolled, the applause sign flickered, and Kimmel launched into his opening salvo. He mocked Trump's mannerisms, his hair, his political past, each jab landing with practiced precision. The audience laughed on cue, the rhythm of late-night comedy in full swing. But Trump didn't laugh. He didn't interrupt. He sat still, his expression unreadable, almost serene. The energy in the room shifted subtly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Kimmel, sensing the crowd's enthusiasm, pressed harder, tossing out another quip about Trump's business ventures. The laughter swelled, but Trump remained motionless, his hands folded, his eyes fixed on the host. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, he leaned toward the microphone. The room hushed. "Jimmy," he said, his voice low and steady, "do you really think America doesn't know who pays your checks?" The laughter stopped as if a switch had been flipped. Kimmel's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. The audience shifted in their seats, unsure whether this was part of the act. Trump reached into his suit jacket and pulled out a stack of papers, holding them up to the camera. "For years, you've mocked me, lied, called me names," he said, his tone calm but piercing. "But tonight, Jimmy, I tell the truth." The studio fell silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy, expectant. Kimmel tried to recover, chuckling nervously. "Oh, Donald, are we doing conspiracies now?" But Trump didn't waver. He lifted the papers higher. "These," he said, "are bank transfers." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Trump flipped through the pages, his voice steady as he described their contents. "From political action committees, from Hollywood groups, from liberal insiders, all paying Jimmy Kimmel, your comedian, to mock me. Not because it's funny, but because it's planned." Kimmel's hands trembled slightly, his usual composure cracking. Trump turned to the audience, his gaze sweeping the room. "Over $2.5 million in the last 3 years, he said, holding up a page labeled Media Influence. While Americans were struggling, losing jobs, getting censored online, you, Jimmy, were being paid to make them hate me." The crowd stirred, whispers breaking the silence. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes, her face a mix of shock and betrayal. Trump's voice softened, becoming almost personal. "They didn't just mock me," he said. "They mocked you. The farmer, the factory worker, the mom praying for her son overseas." He looked directly into the camera, addressing the millions at home. "But not anymore." Kimmel, visibly shaken, fumbled for a response. "This is nonsense," he stammered. "These are fake. This is crazy." But Trump was undeterred. He pulled out another sheet, holding it up for the camera crew to zoom in. "A signed email," he said, "from your own manager, authorizing a comedy segment in exchange for a donation to your foundation, paid by a top Democratic lobbyist." The revelation hit like a thunderclap. The studio went quiet, save for the faint hum of the cameras. Kimmel's lips quivered, his usual quick wit absent. Then, something extraordinary happened. A camera operator set down his headset and walked off the set, his footsteps echoing in the silence. This was no longer a roast, it was a reckoning. Trump unfolded another document, a contract stamped and dated, revealing a secret agreement between a shadowy media group and Kimmel's production company. The terms were chilling. Mock Trump weekly, stick to the script, boost ratings, hide the truth. Trump read the final line aloud. "Failure to follow messaging guidelines may result in withheld payments." Kimmel reached for the paper, but Trump held it firm. "This isn't a joke anymore," he said, turning to the audience. "You've been lied to, manipulated night after night." The crowd murmured, a mix of anger and disbelief. A man in the third row shook his head, whispering to his wife, "I believed everything Jimmy said." An elderly woman in a blue dress stood, her voice trembling, but clear. "I'm from Ohio," she said, looking at Kimmel. "I watched your show every night. I laughed when you mocked Trump. I shared your clips, but I never knew you were lying." Kimmel tried to interrupt, but she raised her voice. "My son lost his job. We were hurting, and I mocked Trump because of you. But now I see he was fighting for people like me." Tears rolled down her cheeks, and the audience sat frozen, absorbing the weight of her words. Trump stepped forward, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "You were lied to," he said softly, "but now you know." The woman nodded, whispering, "Thank you." The moment broke something in the room. Kimmel's smirk was gone, replaced by a look of desperation. He looked around as if searching for an ally, but the audience wasn't laughing. They were listening, feeling. Trump walked to the center of the stage, holding up a final document, a leaked email from a Hollywood studio executive. The subject line read, "Push the anti-Trump jokes. We'll handle the rest." Kimmel leaned on his desk, breathing heavily. "I didn't know they'd release this," he whispered. Trump looked at him, unflinching. "You didn't have to read it, Jimmy. You just had to cash the checks." The silence was deafening. Even the crew felt it. A camera operator lowered his lens, tears in his eyes. Kimmel sat, head in his hands, as the reality of his role sank in. Just when it seemed the revelations couldn't deepen, Trump revealed a handwritten letter. "This," he said, "was written by one of Jimmy's own writers. He mailed it to the White House, no return address. But we found him." The studio gasped. Trump continued, "He was tired of the lies. He couldn't sleep knowing he was part of a show paid to divide America." The letter was short, raw. "Mr. President, I don't agree with all your policies, but I know unfairness. We were told what to write, never to make you look human. I'm sorry." Trump paused, looking at the crowd. "That man quit his job the next day because he couldn't live with what this show became." A mother in the audience sobbed, her hands covering her face. This wasn't about politics anymore. It was about trust, and America was realizing it had been betrayed. Trump signaled to the crew, and a screen flickered to life behind him. The footage that played stunned the room, leaked behind-the-scenes clips from Kimmel's writer's room. Producers and staff laughed as they mocked Trump supporters, deriding their faith, their accents, their jobs. Kimmel's voice stood out, joking, "These people are too dumb to know we're acting." The audience went cold, some covering their mouths in shock. In another clip, an assistant questioned if the jokes went too far. A producer replied, "We have marching orders. Keep going." When the footage ended, the silence was absolute. No applause, no music, just heartbreak. A teenager in the audience whispered to his father, "They were laughing at us, weren't they?" His father stared ahead, eyes wet, unable to answer. Trump spoke, his voice steady but heavy. "This is what late night became. Not comedy, but cruelty. Paid, packaged, delivered." Kimmel's voice cracked as he tried to respond. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," he said, wiping his eyes. "I was just following the show, doing what they told me." Trump didn't interrupt. He listened, then said, "You didn't just attack me, Jimmy. You attacked people who worked double shifts, veterans, single moms, farmers, people who wanted a president who'd fight for them." Kimmel dropped his head, the weight of his actions sinking in. One by one, audience members stood, not to clap, but to leave. A cameraman muttered, "I can't do this anymore," and unplugged his equipment. The studio lights flickered, as if mirroring the chaos. Trump reached under Kimmel's desk, pulling out a bundle of sealed envelopes, each marked with a name. "These," he said, "are letters from your audience. Regular Americans who trusted this show." He opened one from a woman in Kentucky, her son a soldier overseas. Her words, read aloud, cut deep. "Mr. Kimmel, every time you laughed at President Trump, it felt like you were laughing at my boy in uniform. We didn't vote for fame. We voted for someone who cared." Trump laid the envelopes across the desk, each a testament to America's pain. Kimmel's hands shook as he stared at the letters. The audience wasn't just watching, they were grieving. A woman in a headset stepped from backstage, Linda, the executive producer who approved every script. She held a resignation letter, her voice steady but raw. "I've worked in media for 23 years, she said. "I thought we were informing people. We weren't. We were manipulating them for power, for money." She turned to Trump. "I don't agree with everything you say, but you told the truth. That matters." She placed the letter on Kimmel's desk and walked away, leaving the room in stunned silence. Then, a man in a wheelchair rolled forward, his face scarred, his jacket adorned with military pins. "I served 2 tours in Iraq," he said, his voice cutting through the stillness. "I laughed at your jokes, Jimmy, until you called guys like me brainwashed. My buddy lost his leg in that war. He voted for Trump, and you laughed at him for it." The room went still. "I don't care who you vote for, but you don't get to insult sacrifice." He turned to Trump. "You're not perfect, but you showed up. You told the truth." The veteran saluted, and the audience, one by one, began to stand, not in applause, but in respect. Trump opened a final folder, his voice softer now. "This one broke my heart," he said. "It's not about jokes, it's about betrayal." He revealed a list of donors to Kimmel's private media fund. Lobbyists, Hollywood elites, liberal strategists, all marked anonymous in public, but exposed now. "These people didn't donate to help the public," Trump said. "They paid Jimmy to destroy me, to divide this country, to laugh while people lost their homes and hope." A voice from the crowd shouted, "We were fooled!" A teenage girl in the audience cried, not for politics, but for the trust she'd lost. The red applause sign above the crowd went dark. Kimmel looked at it, then away, his empire of laughter crumbling. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he mumbled, his legs unsteady. Trump stepped back, giving him space. "Entertainment ends when pain begins," he said. A young man in the second row stood, his voice breaking. "I voted for you twice, Jimmy, but my dad died from COVID, and you made fun of Trump's response every night while he was trying to save lives." A sob escaped him. "My father believed in Trump, and I laughed at him because of you." The camera zoomed in, capturing a son's grief, raw and unscripted. A woman in a headset stepped forward, the show's top producer, Alan. He was trembling, holding a flash drive. "I've worked here 10 years, he said. "I helped hide the truth." The audience gasped. Kimmel looked stunned. "Alan, why now?" Alan's voice broke. "Because I've got 2 daughters. I don't want them growing up in a world built on lies." He handed the flash drive to the stage manager. "This has everything: emails, instructions, payments, the real plan." Trump nodded. "Give it to the public. Everyone deserves to see it." Alan walked off, head high, as the studio's atmosphere shifted from spectacle to accountability. An elderly black woman stood, her hands raised slightly. "Can I say a prayer?" she asked, stepping into the aisle. "I came here to be entertained, but now I feel conviction." She closed her eyes. "Lord, forgive us for laughing at lies, for mocking truth. Bless the man brave enough to speak it tonight." Tears ran down her cheeks, and a ripple of emotion passed through the room. She looked at Kimmel. "You made me laugh when my husband passed, but tonight you made me cry for the truth I ignored." The room sat in sacred silence, a confession unfolding. Backstage, an assistant's phone rang. "Assistant." Rang. The call urgent. "It's the White House," she whispered. "They want to speak with President Trump." Trump stepped aside, took the call, and returned, his expression grave. "That was the Speaker of the House. They're opening an inquiry, not against me, but against the media." The audience gasped. "They've seen the footage, the money trails, the lies. They want the truth made public in Congress." Kimmel's mouth fell open, his face pale. Trump continued, "This isn't about me. This is about how far we've fallen, how media sold out working families for politics and profit." A voice shouted, "Hold them all accountable." Trump nodded, then turned to Kimmel. "You wanted to destroy me with jokes, but tonight the truth destroyed the lie." Kimmel stood, his voice breaking. "To every family I hurt with my words, I'm sorry." A tear rolled down his cheek. "I thought I was helping, but I was used." He turned to Trump. "I mocked you, slandered you, judged people I never met. Now I realize what I became." Trump stood still, not proud, not angry, just quiet. Kimmel continued, "You didn't just survive the jokes. You exposed the game. I respect that." The room froze, viewers at home weeping. This wasn't a punchline. It was a man admitting failure on national television. Alan, the producer, stepped forward again, shaking. "This flash drive has everything," he said, handing it to the stage manager. "Emails, instructions, direct payments. We were told who to mock, when, how." The audience gasped. Trump took the drive. "This belongs to the public," he said. "Everyone deserves to see it." Alan walked off, the air in the studio electric with truth. The broadcast rolled on, and a woman in the third row stood, holding a folded American flag. "My son died in Afghanistan," she said, her voice trembling. "He was 23. The room stilled. "You made jokes about Trump pulling our troops, about the chaos, but no one asked what it meant to people like me." She looked at Trump. When you called me, after my son's funeral, no press, no cameras, you said, "Thank you." Then I heard Jimmy call you a joke. She unfolded the flag. My son didn't die for a joke. Kimmel lowered his head, and Trump stood, hand over his chest, as the audience wept. A public school teacher from Michigan stepped forward, holding a tattered notebook. I teach 8th grade civics, she said. We'd start class with your clips, Jimmy. But last year, my students stopped asking questions. They mocked each other instead. She opened the notebook, reading, Trump is evil. MAGA people are dumb. Only dumb people vote red. Her voice cracked. They weren't thinking. They were repeating. She turned to Kimmel. You weren't making jokes. You were planting seeds. Trump took the notebook, addressing the crowd. This is what the media did, turned our kids into parrots. But we can fix this. It starts with truth. The network suddenly cut the feed, screens going black across America. A technical error message appeared, but the studio knew better. They were being silenced. Trump didn't flinch. Record this on your phones, he said. Let them try to stop us. The audience pulled out their devices, live streaming on social media. Let the truth go where the signals can't, Trump said. Kimmel whispered, I thought this would be the end of my career. Trump nodded. It might be, but it could be the beginning of something better. A pastor from Georgia stepped forward, his voice calm but weighty. I'm Pastor Raymond, he said. Tonight, something holy is happening. The room hushed. I warned my church about TV, but they played Jimmy's show at youth nights. My son started to hate this country. Tears filled his eyes. But tonight, I saw that hate die, not because of anger, but because truth showed up. He turned to Trump. You were mocked for your faith, but you never stopped praying, never stopped standing. The room felt sacred, faith stronger than laughter. The flash drive's contents hit the internet, uploaded to multiple servers, emails, memos, payment ledgers, undeniable evidence of instructions to amplify anti-Trump narratives, steer humor against middle America, avoid fairness. News networks scrambled, some downplayed, but the truth spread like wildfire. Celebrities posted apologies. We didn't know. I was part of the lie. Forgive us. Kimmel sat, head down, no longer a host, but a man facing his legacy. Trump stepped forward. You tried to burn my name, he said, but now your hands are covered in ash. Kimmel stood, voice breaking. I'm resigning, effective immediately. He removed his mic, placing it on the desk. I don't deserve your laughs, not after what I covered up. He looked at Trump. You didn't just survive my words. You outlived them with truth. He turned to the audience, tears streaming. Forgive me. Forgive us all for what we let happen. People stood, not to clap, but in silent recognition. The lights dimmed, the stage fading in repentance. Outside, Kimmel stepped into the night. Protesters had gathered, but they weren't all shouting. Some cried. A young man yelled, We believed you! Kimmel stopped. I believed it too, he replied, raw, unscripted. Inside, Trump took the mic. Truth doesn't destroy, he said. It sets people free. By morning, Kimmel's resignation dominated headlines. The footage reached over 400 million views. Congress confirmed an investigation into media influence, subpoenas issued. Hollywood insiders spoke, celebrities apologized, and America stopped laughing, starting to listen. Trump visited a firehouse in Ohio, hugging a mother who lost her son to fentanyl. You matter, he told her. Your story matters. Asked what came next, he said, "We rebuild, not as enemies, but as Americans." As the broadcast's credits rolled, Trump faced the camera, unscripted. To the forgotten men and women, lied to, laughed at, locked out, I never gave up on you. Now the truth is yours. His voice softened. This was never about me. It was about you, your dignity, your freedom, your voice. A soft God Bless America played, and he raised a hand to his heart. If this moved you, do one thing. Share this moment. Stand for something real. The screen faded to black, leaving a nation changed. Not by noise, but by tears, honesty, and unity.